What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to another video. I just got done watching the Bank of America Roval 400 from the Charlotte Roval, the cutoff race for the round of 12 in the NASCAR playoffs. Let's go ahead and talk about it. So, in my honest opinion, this was a really solid race. Not as crazy as I thought it was going to be. I thought we were going to actually have rain in the forecast for this race, as it had been forecasted. And we did see a wet track to start off the race, but there wasn't rain that did end up hitting the track during the race. But we got to see some wet rain tires for the first time in NASCAR Cup Series history, as we got to see a wet racetrack, and we got to see some of the best drivers take advantage of. But really, throughout this race, there wasn't really one dominant car, in my honest opinion. There were like 4 or 5 really strong cars in this race. You had guys like Chase Elliott were up at the front, Joey Logano up in the front in this race. Different contenders throughout the race. It seemed like, and even Ty Dillon at one point was up there contending for the lead as well a lot of this race. Clint Boyer was up there at points. Like I said, Alex Bowman was up there. There were a lot of drivers who really were up in the front early starts. Even William Byron and Chris Roval were up there a majority of the day. But at the end of the day, the best guy on the road course, as Chase Elliott, was today able to score his fifth road course win, and 4 straight road course victory as well, making him now second all-time for consecutive streaks on road courses as well. Chase Elliott just continues to be a dominant in history at the Roval, and huge congratulations to Chase Elliott today on winning his 3rd race of the year in his 5th road course race and his 2nd straight Roval race and 4 straight road course race as well. We're going to go ahead and talk about this race because, man, there was a lot of craziness in this race. It wasn't as crazy as that Xfinity Series race yesterday. That was really chaotic. We got to see a lot of carnage in this race. To start off on the front row today, you had Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott, and Denny Hamlin, who would start on the front row for this race. At the beginning of this race, Ty Dillon literally just drove his way up to the front. I don't know where Ty Dillon came from. I guess that experience driving in the rain tires. He drove all the way up to 3rd place at one point before the competition caution would come out in this race. And the competition caution would come out on lap 10. Chase Elliott would make the pass on Brad Keselowski. We would go back racing on lap 13, and a couple drivers decided to take slicks in this race since the track was starting to drought. That would be Ty Dillon and Kevin Harvick. We would take dry tires. Meanwhile, the rest of the field would stay on the rain tires for the rest of the stage, and it would bite them. Ty Dillon would drive all the way up to the front. A lot of drivers would decide to come down pit road, and then the second caution in this race would come out on lap 20, I think lap 22 of this race, where John Nemechek spun. He got, the Echo Park sign stuck on the grill of his car, and that would bring out the caution. We would have a 1-lap shootout to decide the finish of this race, and Ty Dillon would win his 3rd career stage in his career. So, Ty Dillon won the 1st stage, Chris Roval 2nd, Matt DiBenedetto 3rd, William Byron 4th, Timmy Hill finishes 5th, Ryan Namath 6th, Ryan Blaney 7th, Joey Logano 8th, 9th place is Bubba Wallace, and Eric Jones would finish 20th in the stage. So the only driver to earn points at all that was in the playoffs was Joey Logano, who finished 8th in the stage. We would go back racing on lap 29 in this race, where we would see Christopher Bell take the race lead on the restart, but William Byron would fight hard and would drive off with the race lead for the next 10 laps, and then Ryan Blaney would make the pass on William Byron 10 laps later in this race. And then during the green flag pit stops, where some guys were starting to take some tires, including Chase Elliott, the 77 car of J.J. Yeley would spin out and stall coming down in turn number 5, got into the same area that John Nemechek wrecked, and he would bring out the caution on lap number 46 in this race. We would go back racing on lap 49 in this race, and the race leader would be Ryan Blaney. And Ryan Blaney would be able to hold off coming to the end of Stage 2, and he was able to win Stage 2 in a really cool shootout for the win in this race. Ryan Blaney won the stage. Chase Elliott 2nd. 3rd place was Chris Roval. 4th, Martin Truex Jr. 5th, Joey Logano. 6th place is Alex Bowman. 7th, William Byron. 8th place was Tyler Reddick. 9th, Michael McDowell. And 10th place would be Brad Keselowski. Coming to the restart in stage number 3 in this race. Actually, Chase Elliott almost basically crashed coming on pit road up to this point, and that would end up basically almost happening, but he was able not for that to happen. On this restart, coming into the restart, Chase Elliott would have to come down pit road, one of the cars to be in this race, for a loose left front wheel. He would be able later in this race to drive back up to the front. As I told you, he would be able to go on to win this race. He would have to come back for more adversity than running into the tire barrier, the Hartburg turn, which no one actually ran into that. I don't think anybody ran into the Hartburg turn. Don't quote me. I don't know if Matt Kenseth did or not, but they ran into did not run into the Hartburg turn. He would have to drive all the way up to the front. On the ensuing restart, coming down where they were about to enter turn number 1, there would actually be a pretty big pileup in that corner. I think there was contact with Ricky Stenhouse Jr., if I'm not mistaken. Denny Hamlin got some damage in that. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. got some damage. A bunch of cars ended up getting damaged in the crash. Matt DeBenedetto, who had been up front a lot of that race, he had issues. He would end up having problems and drop back. He would get some damage. Well, there was a 6-car wreck. I can't remember all the guys that were involved in that wreck, but there would be a 6-car crash that would take place on that ensuing restart. We would go back racing, and then we keep going racing up to this point. The next caution in the race would come out for some massive debris with 45 laps to go in this race, and we would continue on from there. On the ensuing restart on lap number 68 of this race, the leader of this race would be William Byron, and then Clint Bowyer would actually make a pass a few laps later to Matt Walsh, and actually the caution would come out with about 40 laps to go in this race. Kyle Busch, who actually had a flat tire at the end of stage 2, he would get into the back of Austin Dillon. He would spin out, hit the outside wall, and Kyle Busch apologized on the radio. He already said that basically their season was pretty much over, said was thanking the guys for a great year. But Kyle Busch was driving back up to the front. He was driving his way all the way up to the front, trying to contend for the win of this race. And then we go back racing with 36 or 37 laps to go in the race. And on the ensuing restart, the race leader actually would be Ryan Preece. Then Bubba Wallace basically shot up and made an incredible move. Would get some damage to Clint Bowyer, and a couple other drivers would end up having problems. A bunch of guys were starting to spin out at this point as well. I think Ryan Newman ended up spinning out up to this point on this ensuing restart. And then we would see an incredible battle between guys like Ryan Preece, Alex Bowman, Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, and even Kyle Busch, who drove his way up to the top 5 up to this point. Alex Bowman would make the pass with 27 laps to go in the race, get by Ryan Preece, and drive up. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott was pursuing him as well, and he would drive up and pass Alex Bowman 2 laps later and take the lead with 27 laps to go in this race. And then a caution would come out with about 22 laps to go. A big piece of debris would hit the racetrack. I believe there might have been a possibility that Matt Kenseth ran into that as he would drive into the safer barrier coming down into turn number 5, if I'm not mistaken, which would take him out of contention in this race. NBC really had a hard time catching that. That's one of the only mistakes NBC, I think, really made in this race. I think the coverage today was really good, in my opinion. We would go racing on lap number 90, and then Chase Elliott would have to come down pit road to make sure he had enough gas, because some guys were unsure if they were going to make it. Meanwhile, Kyle Busch would end up, who had not pit since lap 65, would end up staying out to try to play the strategy game. But with 21 laps to go, we go back racing, and Eric Jones within a lap was able to pass him. And then 2 laps later, Chase Elliott would make the final pass of this race with 18 laps to go in this race. Got by Eric Jones, and he would start pulling away from guys like Eric Jones, Kurt Busch, and even Martin Truex Jr. The final caution in this race would come out with 12 laps to go for Brendan Poole. He would stall coming into turn number 9 of the track, turn 3 on the oval, but coming to turn number 3, he would bring out the final caution of this race. And then with 9 laps to go, we would go back racing. A great restart, by the way, between Joey Logano and Chase Elliott. But Chase Elliott would pull away, and he would drive off into the sunset. Meanwhile, Ryan Newman would spin out with about 7 laps to go. And then Michael McDowell also would spin out coming down the front stretch. I think actually on the back stretch, he would have an issue. And then coming down the front stretch, he would run into the grass with 7 laps to go. A lot of people thought that would bring the caution out because he was stalled, similar to Brendan Poole, but he would not end up being stalled, and they would keep the green flag. Meanwhile, with 2 laps to go in this race, contact between Kurt Busch and Martin Truex Jr. Martin Truex Jr. overdrove the corner. He was one of the fastest cars in this race. He had a speeding penalty as well at one point. Martin Truex Jr. would drive into the back of Kurt Busch. They would spin out, and they would end up not finishing too worse. But, man, those guys are having really good days. Kurt Busch was running 3rd, and Martin Truex Jr. was running 4th. Truex looking for a podium spot. That would not bring out the caution, though. And Chase Elliott would come off the final corner, and today, like I said, will win his 5th road course race of his NASCAR Cup Series career and win his 3rd race of the year and 4 straight road course wins, making him 2nd straight on NASCAR's road course victory. So congratulations to Chase Elliott today on scoring the win. Let's go ahead and go through the race results. So, Chase Elliott, the car to beat, in my opinion, won today's race. He had to earn us one, though, but he all was be the winner of this race. Joey Logano finished his second. Eric Jones with a really strong run in third place. They said he's not finished worse than 8th place all the playoffs. He's been running really well in the playoffs. Good job for Eric Jones. Kurt Busch finished his 4th. Great run for Kurt Busch. Ryan Blaney finished his 5th. William Byron finished his 6th. Martin Truex Jr. finished his 7th today. 8th place goes Alex Bowman. He had some damage later in his race. Ran back up to 8th. Great run for him. Cole Custer finished that. Cole Custer had a really, really good run today. I thought he would be, kind of struggle today since it's a kind of a newer track. But 9th place, good run for him. And then 10th place would go to Clint Bowyer from the damage. Still rebounded to a 10th place run. Strong run for Clint Bowyer. Kevin Hart finishes 11th in today's race. Tyler Reddick finishes 12th. 13th, Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson I thought was going to be a little better than this. But 13th was not too bad. Ryan Preece finishes 14th. 15th, Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin had kind of a really, really bad day, but still rebounded to a 15th place run. Pretty good run for him. Aric Almirola finishes 16th. He, unfortunately, along with Clint Bowyer, is unfortunately eliminated from the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. We'll talk about their guys that are eliminated. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finishes 17th. 18th place goes to Brad Keselowski. 19th, Austin Dillon. He's also eliminated from the playoffs. Chris Buescher, 20th. Bubba Wallace finishes 21st. 22nd, Matt DiBenedetto. 23rd goes to Ty Dillon. 24th, Christopher Bell. 25th, Daniel Suarez. Christopher Bell was up front a lot of the day, but he would have issues later. And also Ty Dillon had one of the best starts, really a great start to this race, was contending for the win today. But unfortunately, he had issues. He would spin out with about 65 laps to go. I think he also brought out a caution as well. I think that caution with the lap 65 was really for him, to be honest with you. 26th, Greg Gaulding. 27th, Corey LaJoie. 28th place goes to Quinn Alf. 29th, James Davison. Kyle Busch rounds out top 30. I think he had to pit for field. 31st, Ryan Newman. 32nd, Michael McDowell. 33rd, Josh Blickey. 34th, Matt Kenseth, who ran into the tire barrier. 35th, J.G. Elliott. 36th, John Nemechek, who would have issues early. Brennan Poole, 37th. And 38th, finishing last, is Tim Hill, who got a top 5 in stage 1. I think he had an issue, like a tire issue, I think like an engine problem. Can't remember what happened, but he would fall out of this race. So now let's talk about the 4 drivers who are eliminated for the plus, as these are the 4 drivers who were eliminated. So, unfortunately, Kyle Busch, who is your defending NASCAR Cup Series champion, after not such a great year, he unfortunately is eliminated from the plus. That is a shame for Kyle Busch. He actually was rebounding up to the front late in this race, but they decided to stay out. I think that really cost him a shot to win. I didn't think he was going to have a really good run, but man, his bad luck at this track continues as his average finish continues to be really bad. This is his 3rd straight finish with 30th or worse at this track in the 3 starts here, so I knew this was really not going to be a good day for Kyle Busch. Clint Bowyer was the one driver I said it really could have a shot to kind of spoil the party. He really looked like he had a shot today to win the race, but after the damage with him and Kyle Busch, that really cost him. Austin Dillon had a really bad round, in my honest opinion. He was looking like he was going to get a top 15 today, but a 19th place run, not bad, but unfortunately, he's eliminated from the playoffs. And the final driver, Aric Almirola, I really thought he was going to be a round of 8 contender, to be honest with you, in this race and make it to the round of 8 because of his consistency, but he just wasn't as good, and he didn't have any playoff points. That really, really cost him. So those are the 4 drivers who, unfortunately, are eliminated from the playoffs. Now I'm going to get you my score for this race, and then we're going to get out of here. So this race was incredibly awesome. There was a lot of good moments in this. There was definitely slow and dull moments of this race, kind of including that finish, in my opinion. But there was moments happening around the track that made you intrigued. And the fact that there were so many different contenders who were contending throughout the race, I think that made the race a lot more intriguing and a lot more better for the fans that were watching, including myself. And I thought today's race was really, really awesome. I am going to give today's Roval race a 9.5 out of 10. I thought today's race was excellent. It was a really good race. It wasn't crazy, but it was a really solid road course race. Better than the Daytona road course, that's for sure. And then Roval continues to show some really good racing. And I think these drivers are slowly starting to figure it out, but you're still seeing drivers struggle at this track. I think this track will continue to be treacherous, especially for the new guys coming in here for years to come. Also, John Nemechek, 23rd, I think, race where he's had an incident. I think he's tied David Sherman for the most incidents in a season. I think it's 23 races now, which, yikes for John Hunter. But we're going into the round of 8 now. Only 8 drivers remain in the championship hunt. We also head to Kansas next week. I'm really excited for that race since the racing there has generally been really, really awesome. But once again, congratulations to Chase Elliott on going 4 in a row on road courses and continue to etch itself as one of the kings of road courses in NASCAR history. So, once again, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. Please like and subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on so you be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Links description below for that. And comment your thoughts on today's race. What did you think of today's race? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. And I will see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.